Okay, I'm just going to walk you through the process of loading some 9mm ammunition on the Lee Progressive 1000 3-hole turret reloading press. Cases I'm going to be using today are some Winchester once fired cases. I put them through a case tumbler, and that's about all I've done with them. I'm going to be loading for my Glock 34 pistol. I originally purchased this turret from Midway Australia through the eBay store. It was set up in 357 Magnum when I got it, and that was to reload for my Marlin 1894C rifle. I've loaded up the hopper of the automatic powder dispenser with some Winchester 231 powder. The charge disc in this is set on the .43 hole. Now that's supposed to dispense 4.6 grains of powder, but for some reason it's dispensing 4.3 grains of powder, but it does that consistently, so I'm not concerned about it. It is important to weigh the charges that the turret is putting out. Obviously, you weigh your first charge and then take a casing out every now and then through the loading process and check to make sure it is putting out the correct charge. I've loaded the primer feed with Federal small pistol primers. Yeah, like I said, the press was originally set up in 357 Magnum, so I've had to make some changes to the press to allow me to load 9mm ammunition on it. I've had to change over the shell plate to a number 19 and the turret that holds the dies. You don't have to get a new turret. I bought a new one just to make it easier. You don't have to pull out your dies each time. You can just leave your dies set in there, so you don't have to adjust the depth that they're set in, and you can just leave them as be. Just screw them out and then put the new turret straight back in. I've also added a spring to the automatic powder dispenser. It originally came set up with a ball chain type setup. It was really weak, and it just basically broke every couple of rounds that you put through it, so I've got rid of that, replaced it with a spring. It makes it a lot more reliable and it speeds up the process because you don't have to change parts all the time. I'd like to add a bullet feed to the press. It would speed up the process a lot more. Basically, at the moment, you just have to place each projectile into the casing by hand and feed it into the press. I'm going to be loading 125 grain Gold Supreme lead cast projectiles. These ones come through a company called ABCYL Projectiles. They're in Perth, Western Australia. So basically, I'll start the process off. Like I said, I've got to hand load these into the press at the moment. It was set up in 357, so it's got the medium case case dispenser set up in it at the moment, so you can't feed 9mm cases through it because they just jam. So I've got a small case dispenser on the way. Feed that into the first slot on your shell plate. This is going to go and feed the case into the depriming and resizing die, and we'll load a second case into there. These aren't carbide dies, so you do have to lubricate your cases, otherwise you're going to get them stuck in there and jam up your press. So I've fed the second case in here, and we're just going to rotate it to the next slot. As I do that, I'm just going to prime the case in the second slot on the downward stroke, and then we're going to feed that one straight up into the powder through expander die. As we do that, it's going to dispense the charge into the casing, and it also expands the mouth of the casing. And move that to the next slot. Should load our third slot. As it's moving around, it's just repeating the process on each of the two slots before it. Very important to check to make sure that there is actually powder in the casing each time. You don't want to have no powder in there because it's just going to jam the bullet into your barrel, and then the next one that comes through, it's going to blow your gun up. And you can also check for double feeds. It is hard to double feed or double charge rather a casing on this because it does move to the next stage. But yeah, always check to make sure that there is powder in there, has been dispensed into it. So I'm going to place the case into the top of the place the projectile into the top of the casing and feed that up into the bullet seating die. Make sure you pull your fingers out in time, otherwise you'll lose them. It's not much fun squishing them in there. And throw your next case in there. And rotate it across. And that is the process completed. Alright, I'm just going to load another 10 rounds with the turret set up in a different angle. Alright, so that's another 10 rounds loaded. Couple of small stoppages there. As I said before, it's a pain not having the small case feeder. I have ordered one, I'm just waiting on it through the post at the moment, and the bullet feed will definitely speed things up a lot.